So today is, or last night and today is Dia de los Muertos, and it is an opportunity for us to celebrate those who came before us. And as I stand in this building, I'm overwhelmed by the history of the building itself, built 110 years ago for a German Methodist congregation. And at about the same time, 10 years later, Unity San Francisco was started. And last year, we purchased and moved into this building, which we're in the process of reinvigorating, rejuvenating, renovating, and moving into fully. It's a legacy that we get to inherit. And this day is an opportunity for us all to remember every one of those people who came before us, the architects and the visionaries that built this building, and the visionaries that started Unity and created a place for these teachings, a spiritual home so that lives could be transformed. So we have a song that we'd like to start this day with, and it's from the movie Coco, and it's called Remember Me. I'm not going to even trying to pronounce it in Spanish, but I'll let Katie do that in the song. So without further ado, Katie Bertschi and Rachel Rothman in Remember Me.
Por favor, te llevo en mi corazón y cerca me tendrás. A solas yo te cantaré, soñando en regresar. Recuérdame, aunque tenga que emigrar. Recuérdame, si mi guitarra es llorar. Ella con su triste canto te acompañará hasta que en mis brazos estés. Remember me, though I have to say goodbye. Remember me, don't let it make you cry. For even if I'm far away, I hold you in my heart. I sing a secret song to you each night we are apart. Remember me, though I have to travel far. Remember me, each time you hear a sad guitar. Know that I am with you the only way that I can be, until you're in my arms again. Remember me.
Katie Bertschi and Rachel Rothman, Remember Me. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, and there is so much that is up, as Deanne talked about earlier. As I was listening to that and thinking back, my grandparents who transitioned a long time ago, left this planet a long time ago, but I still think of Grandma Audrey every week and remember all the gifts that she brought me. In fact, Roma's middle name is Audrey. And I love how we pass down those memories, how we pass down that teaching, that knowing, because there's a history that we've all inherited, right? A lineage that is part of our DNA. Literally, it sculpts who we are. And sometimes we may want to change that. Sometimes we may want to go beyond it. But those people who raised us, who shaped us, also did a lot of clearing the path, clearing the road for whatever they had to overcome to be able to love us, support us, and give us all the opportunities that we have. It's not just our personal families, too, though, although that's a huge part of it, of course. Our biological or familiar families, whether it's biological or not, the families that we were raised in, but the communities we're raised in, the society. And in the midst of this tumultuous time, this pandemic, and this nation riveted in and tossed about with COVID and with social justice, protests, and economic distress. I want us to take a moment to think about our founding fathers and the legacy we've inherited from all of them, to remember them on this day too, because they did the best that they could to set up institutions that would support us and continue to foster our well-being. Now, they set some high ideals and fell very far short. But each and one of those men and the women who were founding mothers as well, all created this country. And even in the moment as it's being pulled apart and seemingly tossed about or discarded, it is held together for over 200 years and continues to unfold in ways that can lift and sustain us all. And every step along the way, we've watched as people have risen up, stood up, and demanded, called for, affirmed, and celebrated something more. I mean, where would we be without the civil rights activists who started long before the civil rights movement in the 60s, right? From Harriet Tubman to MLK Jr. to the activists and equality seekers today. These people have come forward so that we may live a better life, and they are all of our ancestors, all of our forebears. And we celebrate them here today, especially the ones we've lost this year, like John Lewis. And I love his phrase, make a good fight, make a good trouble, make a good trouble. Because if not, we are accepting the status quo. We are accepting what is as the way that it should be. But if we say no, if we rise up in love and say, there is a better way, that's the legacy we inherit from John Lewis this year, and so many before him. The women of the women's suffrage movement, right? So how many years before we actually passed the women's right to vote were women fighting for this? Decades and decades, and generations of women stepped up and showed us the way to equality, showed us and fought so hard for the right to vote. And while it's not easy still today to vote, and we witness people trying to limit the access to the ballot box, we must honor the legacy of those women who came before us and showed us the way. And how can we talk this year about equality without mentioning, of course, Justice Ginsburg? Her legacy for me will always be fight for equality, but do it in a way that brings people into the conversation, brings people into the discussion, letting no one stay outside your realm of influence, and to honor her by stepping up the conversations, by voting as if it makes a difference. Because I think this year is all it does. It makes a difference. And so however you're voting, get out and vote. Make a plan and vote if you haven't already. You know, well, here we are in San Francisco. I don't know where you're watching from, but wherever you're watching from, I'm standing in San Francisco right now. And I was a young man when this man stood up for what was right. Harvey Milk made a difference in my life by being fully and completely who he was, and being the first elected official in our nation that was an out gay man. Opened so many doors, opened the doors that allow me to stand here today as an out gay minister, knowing that my sexuality has so little to do with my job, but understanding that we all inherit the legacy of these ancestors. And what a difference that makes. So I feel our calling, our job today, because all these ancestors have cleared the path before us, our responsibility is to pave the road for those who follow us. So the path is cleared. Can we make it a super highway of equality this year? Can we make this world, this nation, this place, something truly remarkable so that we can all step forward and be truly who we're meant to be? That's how we celebrate the lives of those who've come before us. And I'd be remiss if on this day I didn't mention the 1.2 million people around the globe who have passed away from COVID, lost their lives. I can't even begin to wrap my mind around that number. I can't begin to comprehend the pain of those 1.2 million families and loved ones and friends. It's incomprehensible in so many ways. I show a map. I can't show it in a number. And yet, each and one of them left love as a legacy, left love and family and traditions, and made a difference in someone's life. And we honor them by remembering them, celebrating them, and carrying on that tradition and expanding it. Expanding it. Dan and I talk all the time about what we do here at Unity and how we can expand the teaching, how we can allow it to reach more people, and how we adapt it for this day and age. And Unity was not created perfectly or wholly. There was lots of things that were wrong. And Dan and I, as troublemakers, good troublemakers that we are constantly pushing the edge of that envelope to make Unity more inclusive, to pave the way for more who like us. And I'm proud to be that troublemaker. I'm proud because there are people now who can't, as they've transitioned from this planet. But we are here. You and I are here. And we can honor the past and move it forward. I'm going to invite Deanne back up to platform with me. And we have a meditation and a virtual ofrenda that we're going to offer to you. It's a way that we can meditate on those who've come before to celebrate their lives and to honor them by remembering what was important.